Namaste, Hare Krishna. My name is Savyasaci, also known as Savya the monk. I'd like to welcome all of you on this wonderful platform, Festival of Bharat, where I'll be discussing why, as an African, I turned to Hinduism. I will speak also on my understanding of Hinduism and what attracted me and what keeps me involved in Hinduism. So I'm from South Africa. I'm currently based in Johannesburg, South Africa. I came across this culture of Sanatan Dharma when I was at the university. Backstory is that I grew up as a listener to reggae music, and in the reggae scene, my favorite artist is Robert Nesta Marley, famous as Bob Marley. He had a band called The Wailers. And Bob Marley's music really penetrated my heart. He found me on the backdrop of Christianity. I was raised in the Christian church and in the Catholic church. I actually lived with my mother's aunt, who was as good as a grandmother to us. She was actually a Catholic nun, and she hosted many of the children in the nuclear family when the parents were going through different situations in life. Then we were left with Grandma, Sister Benedicta, in the Catholic Church. She had her own house, living in the mission. So I was raised as an altar boy, believe it or not, an upbringing which I really cherished. And I was very much of the faith that there is God and God exists. But growing up into youth, then I had my own personal questions about what the journey into life will bring to me. I was observing everyone, and I saw that they were not all becoming happy with material success. I was observing my parents, my community. And for some reason, I felt like I did not belong in that setting. I don't know if you've had that experience where you feel like there's still some people you have to meet, some places you have to be, some understanding that has to come your way before you come into your own. So growing up, I felt that the society I was in was not giving me all the information I needed to manifest the type of life that I wanted. So high school, I was doing very well at school, just naturally from hearing the subject matter that was being taught. I could assimilate and pass. At some point, then it comes when you have to really put in effort and study. And I could understand that certain subjects were not in my area of interest, but because they were part of passing that grade and moving on, I had to put extra effort. At university, that burning desire to know what is life all about and how I could become a happy participant in the project of life became stronger. I began to read into African cultures gone by eras. I looked into Egypt. I looked into even Scientology. I also revisited Christianity to find out what the Bible was offering. And I also looked into the political history of the world. And I found that there was always a political influence as to how the religious cultures were moving, and that the histories of Africans, the histories of the Mayans, the histories of ancient India were also being influenced by political motivations. So this was a bit of a worry for me as a young man, that there's a certain influence that is governing how we manifest our lives. And I wanted to get to the bottom of that. So questions like, who runs the world? Who has designed the education system? Who is managing my time, that I have to be primary school this long, high school this long, college this long, and ultimately be inserted into a particular system that is mainly being inspired by a financial goal, profit making. You could say capitalism. So such concerns always were in my mind, and I wanted to find myself functioning in this world, but not just being a cog in a machine, but I wanted a life that would answer my deepest questions with regard to love, to satisfaction, to my relationship with fellow humanity, and also the question of who's the ultimate controller, who is in charge of the creation. So it so happened that in the middle of that, in college with my friends, in our late teens, entering our 20s, we formulated our own society. We started a society called the African Renaissance Association. We call it AFRA. And part of the themes then were to develop our consciousness, to create some alliances and collaborations such that we could make successes of ourselves in the world without going the conventional route that was being chalked out for us. So in telling you all of this, also, I will invite you to interact with us via your questions. If there's some aspects of my coming into this Sanatan Dharma that you'd like to find out about. So having started that movement, it really attracted a lot of young people. It became very clear to me that the concerns that I thought were my own and just a close-knit group of friends were actually quite widespread. That young people wanted to find their place in the world. They wanted a philosophy to invest their lives into. They needed a worldview. One beautiful day, walking down the corridors of my university in Pretoria, I saw a poster, and this poster was the Bhakti Yoga Society. And immediately I was attracted. Bhakti Yoga, what is this yoga? At least I could recognize the word yoga. I felt that this was part of what I'd read in my readings before, that as soon as you are desiring to understand something, there will be some arrangement being made for you to find the answers. So I thought, here's another clue on my journey. And this was happening at the arts campus of our university. I told my friends about it, and we were all interested. And we went there to attend this session of Bhakti Yoga. The title of the talk was written, "A Cure for All Diseases." Now, I was thinking that these individuals they must know something that we all don't know. Otherwise, what type of cure for all diseases could be there? And how have they discovered it? So it was a very beautiful title which drew our young minds' interest. We went there and we happened to see a few young men, cosmopolitan group, dressed in saffron robes, like monks. And immediately we were attracted to them. Literally, we ran to them. Who are you people? What have you come to do here? You look very interesting. Please tell us more. And they told us, well, we are hosting the Bhakti Yoga session. And hey, we have come to attend the same. And hearing the speaker, and that speaker was an Afrikaans gentleman, very tall, very huge build. I came to find out later on that he was actually a rugby player before becoming a monk. He spoke, and him being an Afrikaans man, I was internally a bit suspicious. Oh no, we're trying to resist the influence of apartheid South Africa on our lives. And now we've come here to find knowledge, and there's an Afrikaans man speaking. But anyway, you know, we have come to their session, we listened. And he spoke, very peaceful, Sattvic man, very happy looking. And he made a point that we are not this body, we are the soul. And he cited verses from the Bhagavad Gita. And I heard him speak in the Sanskrit language, which I didn't understand to be Sanskrit at the time, but it just was so melodic, and it made his message authoritative, like coming from a really deep culture. I was intrigued. But on the point of not being the body, but being the soul, dehi no spinyata dehe komaram yovanam jara, tata dehantara prapti dhiras tatra namoyate. Citing the Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Krishna is saying that the soul is continuously passing through this body from boyhood to youth to old age. And there's this final change called death. And this death is not affecting those who are dhira, those who are sober. They're not bewildered by this change. They understand that the soul will take another embodiment according to its consciousness. So I thought, yes, we're the soul. I've encountered wonderful people and sometimes less than desirable characters from all race groups. And currently I was involved in Black consciousness, trying to uplift my people, people of my background, and trying to see what atrocities and injustices have been systematically enforced upon them, and we wanted to change that. But I found that just identifying myself on the level of my body, I'm born on the continent of Africa, didn't unite me with all African people. And also it seemed to alienate me from other people, from other backgrounds. It never really sat with me very well, because I felt that it should be based on values, or at least on individual relationships that you form with people. So when this gentleman mentioned we're not this mature body, we are the spark of life, the consciousness, I thought, yes, this is the platform of real unity, because all living beings are part and parcel of the supreme source of all living beings. So that was the real platform of brotherhood or sisterhood. And I thought I would really love to become acquainted with this knowledge base and actually become involved in transferring this knowledge to all living beings, especially humanity, and to invite them to unite on the platform of consciousness, of the soul. So I left quite satisfied, having heard that talk. And one other thing which really caught my attention was that they were vegetarian. I had been convinced about vegetarian from my association with the Rastafari community. I mentioned earlier on that I was an avid listener of Bob Marley and the Wailers. I really loved his God-conscious music, his political conscious lyrics, his social activist narrative, and his bleeding heart concern for the racial discrimination that was perpetrated around the planet on Africans. So I really resonated with him. And this aspect of vegetarianism I had picked up from my association with the Rastafari community. And so when these persons at Bhakti Yoga mentioned that they were vegetarians, not only spoke about it, they served us a vegetarian meal. It was very well appreciated. And also they had a very wonderful song, a chant. They had us chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I love music, as probably the whole world does. But here I found a type of music that we could create together. Congregationally, we were singing a song which was foreign in language. Hare Krishna, what is this? I'd never heard these words in my life. But somehow they rang true and deep in my heart, as though in a previous life, some way I had heard the sound vibration and it was calling me. And a very interesting thing happened was that hardly 2 days after I had met those devotees at that Bhakti Yoga program, my computer, which had all the different genres of music that I listened to, crashed. So I lost all my collection of music. And in that situation, one of the devotees gave me a cassette tape. So you can think cassette, that's the early 2000s. Cassette, the side A was Radha Krishna Temple, which was an album produced by George Harrison and the devotees of the Radha Landanishwara Temple in the UK. And side B was Shishi Radha Raman Temple kirtans. These are kirtans coming from Vrindavan, very traditional sounding. And now all I have is this cassette tape with this Hare Krishna kirtans and certain Vaishnav bhajans. So in the residence where I stayed, student accommodation, I was always playing my music, either the reggae that I used to listen to, the hip hop, or the local South African dance music I used to listen to. And all of a sudden, now I am playing what could be called Indian music. And I was finding myself comfortable in it. Actually, that one cassette replaced my whole database of music. Mystically so. I did not miss what I had lost in that hard drive crashing. Somehow this was so captivating to me and sort of touching me at a level that it satisfied me. But my friends, they thought something's gone wrong with our brother. But something had gone right. I was given a book at that first program that I went to. That book, upon examining it later, when I understood, had a better context of what I'd come across, was The Perfection of Yoga, which is actually Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami's teachings based on the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter called Dhyana Yoga. So there, Srila Prabhupada is making a case for yoga, that it's a gradual, step-by-step build. And he quotes Yoginam apisavesam madgatenta atmana shadavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo matha. Of all the yogis, the one who always thinks of me, I consider to be the best, because he's always merged, so to say, in thought of me. And to think of someone constantly, one has to really love or really like that person. And having read that book, I couldn't really tell you what it was about at the beginning, but I picked up that this book was saying that this Arjuna, who was speaking in this Bhagavad Gita with Krishna, he was the best of yogis. And I had expected yoga only to be the asanas. And this Arjuna is on a chariot, he's a warrior, and he's said to be the best yogi because of his intimate relationship with Krishna. So I had a curiosity about this knowledge. I found that this knowledge unified many concepts that I had been reading prior. I really liked the character of the young men and women I met, of clean habit, and also a wonderful etiquette. I appreciated the principles that they were teaching, and I felt that I want to be part of this community, to imbibe this knowledge, to transform my own consciousness, and to then share it with my people. Because I saw that there was no political ideology that could help Africa or the world. I saw that there was no economic system, no adjustment on that level that could really help people. And so I thought, if I connect to something that can help individuals transform from within, and it can transform me, I can be able to share with the world. So I turned to the culture of Bhakti, the culture of Bhagavad Gita, and I discovered that it is known as Sanatan Dharma. And also it has become famous as Hinduism. Hearing from Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, I understood that this nomenclature of Hinduism had been in some ways imposed upon the people of the Indus Valley across the Sindhu River by those who spoke Hindu, and the Islamic people had called the people and culture of that area, Hinduism. I had personally, coming from Bob Marley influence, I felt I don't really want to become part of different isms and schisms. I wanted to get out of the trap of different isms. And I wanted to be part of a vibrant spiritual culture. And I saw in this Bhakti Yoga, in this Bhagavad Gita, in this great, old, ancient, into the millions of years culture, a chance to connect with a tradition of unbroken knowledge coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, which surprisingly to me, a whole book where God is speaking. I thought, this is wonderful. All the other religious books I was reading, it's through some apostle, through a saint, through a messenger. But in this book, practically, the whole book is him answering questions that have been posed by someone who represented us, like Arjuna. And so now, this is 20 years later. This is my life's joy, to interact with Krishna's message, to interact with the family of humanity, because I can connect with them as all of us are souls, parts of Krishna. And Krishna has claimed us as his own, that all living beings in this world are made possible through birth. And Krishna says that I am the seed-giving father. Aham bija pradapita. I am the seed-giving father of all living beings. And I come on line like this to interact with you, to meet all of you, to discuss how we can all become benefited. As the Vedic motto says, Savya, that everyone should become happy. Everyone should become happy. So how to become happy? It's a journey of souls together. This is my beginning story. This is how I got involved. And I thank all the teachers that have come my way, the different devotees who are nurturing me till today for bringing this message of Bhagavad Gita, of Sanatan Dharma on my path. I will see if there are any thoughts or comments that have come my way, questions, so that we can interact a bit before I sign out from the stream. So just to really thank all of you who are watching this. This Festival of Bharat is a beautiful platform, and we will be together on this journey as I introduce myself to all of you and share the gifts that I am receiving, that I have received on the path of Sanatan Dharma. So, Hare Krishna, be in touch and join me again next Friday at this particular time. Our interaction will move according to your needs and interaction. So not to make them very long, the streams, but also being able to make them longer if there's some interactions. So stay in touch, and thank you for taking the time. I will just give one more story. As I see, there's a lot of you online to tell you also one aspect that really attracted me to this. One of the speakers at a program I went to, he spoke about how he had been celibate for 7 years. Now you can imagine this was blowing my mind. What? Young man, intelligent, handsome, celibacy. Why? Why would you do this? But upon reflection, I thought that he must have found in this practice something very attractive, compelling, and wonderful that it allowed him to forgo this, become a brahmachari. And I thought that this would be very wonderful to do. It was attractive, strangely enough. And so also this aspect of living in life where you give your life and you make your time, your mind, your body, your words available for others and serve was very attractive. And so I thought that I'm trying to serve by becoming a good student, by possibly getting a good job. I was in the IT field, that I would do something there to serve. So I thought, let me also try to serve in a monastic way. And I think that was my calling, because it was attracting me, even though my rationale was my rational mind was saying, no, this is strange. But somehow or the other, it also made sense. Yes. So I thank you very much for spending time with me today. If there are any comments or questions, I will see and maybe attend to. So Hare Krishna, Namaste. Have a beautiful evening, day, morning, depending where you are in the world. Hare Krishna.